By now, you've probably heard about at least one news story about contaminated food being sold in the supermarkets. Spinach with E. coli, Cantaloupe with listeria and Salmonella. The list goes on and on. Every year, literally millions of people suffer from food poisoning, and thousands of those people will, sadly, lose their lives. Another scary but very real fact is that in the U.S. alone, the FDA expects 24 million shipments of FDA-regulated food goods to pass through the nation's ports of entry this year. That's up from only 6 million a decade ago. Those increased imports, together with budget cuts for food inspection, mean increased danger. And of that, only 1.59% of these goods will be inspected for botulism, E. coli, Salmonella, and a host of other dangers. Just 1.59%! The reason for the increase in food imports is because the major supermarkets have a larger profit margin in these foods. It's all about the money for them. They don't care what the dangers are, so long as the shareholders are happy. Now, I'm sorry. I'm really not trying to scare you, but this is the truth. Google it yourself and you will find page after page of news stories about how, year in, year out, people continue to get sick from store-bought fruits and vegetables. And that's just the facts on contamination. But what about the potential long-term threats to our health from pesticides, hormones, or genetically modified foods? Who knows what's going to happen as we age, as we reach our 60s and over, but you can bet your bottom dollar that the built-up toxins in our bodies will come back to haunt us, to haunt our children. So, over the last few years, I've been trying to expose the food industry's disgusting secrets. Now I'm going to play a few news stories, and I must warn you, what you're about to see will shock you, so please prepare yourself. Okay, here we go.
On December 11th, 2006, the New York Times wrote the article, "Has Politics Contaminated the Food Supply?" In it they said, "This fall has brought plenty of bad news about food poisoning. More than 200 people in 26 states were sickened and 3 people were killed by spinach contaminated with E. coli. At least 183 people in 21 states got salmonella from tainted tomatoes served at restaurants. And more than 160 people in New York, New Jersey, and other states were sickened with E. coli after eating at Taco Bell restaurants." People are always going to get food poisoning. The idea that every meal can be risk-free, germ-free, and sterile is the sort of fantasy Howard Hughes might have entertained. But our food can be much safer than it is right now. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 76 million Americans are sickened, 325,000 are hospitalized, and 5,000 die each year because of something they ate. Here are just a few similar outbreaks found within our nation's food supply just a few days prior to the making of this video.
A new study reveals the type of supermarket vegetables that have the highest levels of pesticides. Pesticides that can linger in our bodies for years. Did you know that vegetables grown on large factory farms have as many as 23 chemicals that are toxic to honeybees? Corn, which is found in just about every processed food product, is suspected of having a total of 33 toxins that can cause cancer. Bell peppers are loaded with pesticides containing 51 man-made chemicals that include 11 carcinogens, 22 hormone disruptors, 13 neurotoxins, 10 reproductive toxins, and 19 pesticides harmful to pollinating insects like butterflies. Watermelon contains the highest levels of pesticides that may be responsible for asthma, autism, birth defects, diabetes, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and several types of cancer, including lymphoma. It's no wonder that more and more people are growing food at home.
There is a new lightning bolt about produce and pesticides, fruits and vegetables, and what it really takes to get them clean. Jim Sciutto is on the Healthy Living Beat tonight.
Are there contaminants on your produce that you can't see? When these Purdue University researchers took their science lab to the produce section, they say they detected the fungicide benzimidazole on oranges, the preservative DPA on apples. They're not alone. Far more comprehensive testing by the federal government found traces of pesticides on more than 90% of samples of 8 of the most popular fruits and vegetables. What's worse is that the chemicals turned up even after the produce was washed for 10 seconds, in some cases even peeled, which means that the chemicals were not just on the surface, but inside the fruits and vegetables themselves.
Okay, so that was a bit of an eye-opener, wasn't it? I'm sorry I made you watch that. However, the more that people discover the truth about what we're eating, the better. And all these facts are based solely on the best scientific information we have available today. What new and unexpected threats to our health are going to be discovered going forward? Think about the many unknown dangers these chemically saturated, genetically modified foods might pose. And by then, of course, it will be far too late. Hi, my name is Jeff Serland. My friends call me Green Thumb Jeff. And I'm sick and tired of the big supermarkets and food industry taking us for fools as they line their pockets at the expense of both our short and long-term health. And I decided I wasn't going to put up with it anymore. I decided I wasn't going to put my health at risk or my family's health at risk ever again. I decided to fight back and get fresh, healthy, and poison-free organic food from my very own private food market. And along the way, I made a critical discovery. My food costs were going down. And let me tell you, I think this important discovery came just in time. You've heard news stories about how all the recent drought we've had is going to mean sharply higher food prices in the very near future. Well, that near future is upon us. Now. You've probably heard about the looming food crisis that's about to hit the U.S. We're running out of food, and we can't keep up with the growing population. Eventually, there won't be enough food to feed everybody, and people will go starving. It only takes some simple math to figure this out, and if you're not in a panic now, you soon will be. I know. You're probably thinking, well, I've made it this far. I'll just wait and see what happens. And unfortunately, that's what most people watching this video will be thinking. But why wait until it's too late? Why wait until you struggle to pay for food as prices get even higher? Why wait until you need to panic? Why not prepare now and protect yourself and your family? Not only from higher food prices, but also from all of the dangerous food toxins that I mentioned earlier. And keep in mind, when I talk about rising food prices, I'm talking about all the food prices. It doesn't matter if it's fresh lettuce or a fast food hamburger. The food chain starts with growing vegetables, and as those garden-grown foods become more scarce, more expensive, those price increases will filter out to every single segment of your food supply. There are a lot of families already struggling with these new economic realities, and the real reality is that it's only going to get worse. This is far too serious to have a laid-back, I'll-do-it-later approach. We are rapidly getting to the point where waiting until later is going to be too late. Okay, so let me ask you this. How much money did you spend on fresh vegetables last year? Or, even worse, how much did you spend on less tasty, canned, or frozen vegetables? Heck, how much do you spend on a single trip to the supermarket? Just as important, how much of your valuable time did you waste standing in line, shopping for those overpriced, toxin-laced foods? How much just for the gas to get to the store? I want to help you eliminate all that. Eliminate the risk to yourself and your family from contaminated foods. Eliminate saturating your body with the toxins and chemicals that build up in your system over time. And eliminate the risk of being caught up in panic of the looming food crisis. In addition to all the chemicals, toxins, and pesticides in supermarket vegetables, did you know that most contain waxes and polishes to fool you into thinking you're buying quality food? Mass-produced vegetables in the supermarket use these little tricks to cover up the truth, that their industrially grown, large-scale operations are geared towards growing foods profitably. Quality, taste, and more importantly, safety take a back seat